What's up, TBS crew? It's your boy Steph, back with another reaction. This time we have Nightmare Files. 4 menacing true horror stories featuring Swamp Dweller and my guy KingSpook, uploaded August 15th, 2019. Now, down in the description will be links to Nightmare Files channel, Swamp Dweller's channel, KingSpook's channel, this original video, and all my social medias. Get at your boy and see the personal life that I don't upload to YouTube. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Nightmare Files.
Oh wow, that picture didn't look good. It looked like they was about to get got.
I was hiking through a park in Central Florida about 3 years ago. Kind of dense scrub brush. You can only see the trail in front of you. The brush is chest high on both sides. I'm about 2 miles from the nearest trailhead, and it's around 7 p.m. I had an hour of light left. I had intended on setting camp when I found this next clearing. First clearing I get to has a gator head in the middle with a circle of stones around it, and it looks to be 2 or 3 weeks old. Just a dried skull with scales, and the soft tissue was gone. I had seen gator skulls left by poachers before, and I usually ignore it, but this one gave me some type of weird vibe. About 15 minutes later, I get to another nice-sized clearing. This time, a few dead birds were strung up on some sticks, and they were hanging in a circle. It looked to be about 7 or 8 small birds, and about 4 feet across. It had been there for a while, but it didn't smell anymore at least. Still creepy enough to send me on my way. So I'm guessing the third time's the charm, right? 20 minutes later, it was getting dark, and now I was taking side paths to get away from the main trail and hopefully to avoid any other displays. I find a fresh one. A deer head on a stick.
Oh, what?
They were scattered around, making 4 circles around the base of the stick. The blood was splattered all around everywhere. I just stood there in disbelief.
I bet.
Then I heard footsteps approaching.
See?
Then they stopped. I got very quiet. And some guy whispers, "Get out of here, or we'll kill you too."
It's time to
I
go.
didn't hesitate at all. I ran out of there. It was dark before I got back to my truck.
It be like
And I
that.
went straight to the police station and told them everything. They found everything that I saw, but no one was there. After that, I won't go back hiking again.
I bet. It be like that though. You almost got and joined all those other dead animals.
This story takes place when I was 18.
KingSpook.
The school year had just ended, and so all of us seniors decided to go on a camping trip, as it would be the last time many of us would see each other. Our senior class wasn't too big. There was only about 12 of us, and the other classes had 20 to 30 people. We had found a great camping site in the mountains where most, if not all of us, lived. We all arrived at the campsite around 6:30 p.m. We finished setting up a huge tent that all 12 of us could comfortably fit in around 7 p.m. as the sun was going down. We hung out and talked around the fire until it was completely dark, as I guess that was the official time to party. The sun had set around 8 p.m. and it was completely dark. We got all the alcohol out of our cars and started to drink until we couldn't drink anymore. We were loud, obnoxious teenagers drinking around a fire until we noticed something. My friend Ivan was gone. We first thought he was trying to scare us or pull a prank on us, but 30 minutes passed and there was still no sign of him. It wasn't that warm outside either, as there was still snow on the ground due to the high altitude. We had looked all around the campsite for him, calling his name. We started getting anxious and scared. His car was still parked and the nearest highway was about 15 miles out, so there's no way he could have walked. How could he have disappeared without any single one of us noticing? Us being drunk didn't help either, as it was even to find him in pitch black. We all had gotten into small groups and had gone in different directions. My friend Sean and I walked deeper into the woods, calling out Ivan's name. Finally, we see a shadow sitting down by a tree. I turned the flashlight towards it, and there he was. There was something off about him, though. He was just sitting there, not blinking and looking straight ahead. He didn't even react to me pointing the flashlight directly in his eyes. Not only that, he had a knife in his hand. It was so cold outside that we were all wearing hoodies, but Ivan was just sitting there in a tank top and shorts. He wasn't shivering or anything either. And not only that, there was a star carved into the tree which gave me the creeps. I honestly thought he was dead because he had no reaction to anything. But we noticed him breathing. We slowly approached him and kicked the knife out of his hand. Ivan? Ivan, are you alright? What the fuck are you doing? I asked. He didn't reply. He just kept looking straight on as if he was frozen. Sean and I couldn't just leave him there. Ivan's a pretty hefty guy, so it was going to be difficult to carry him back all the way to the campsite. Not only that, it was like a football field's length back to the campsite, and us being drunk obviously wasn't going to help. We had to do it anyways, though, as we thought he would die out there in the cold. We carried him all the way back through the cold snow and darkness with my flashlight only giving us some visibility. As we got back, everyone helped us put him in the tent and cover him in blankets. But the story doesn't end there. As we were all sitting around the fire wondering what just happened, he started to yell out. He wasn't just yelling out anything, though. He was yelling out Bible verses. We all got scared and thought he may have gotten possessed or something. This went on for about 10 minutes. Finally, we see him step out of the tent. He looked much better than earlier. I had asked him why he was yelling out Bible verses, and he responded with, I don't know any Bible verses. I was officially creeped out at this point, as was everyone else. It was 1 a.m., so we all decided to go to bed. About an hour passes by, and everyone except me are asleep. I noticed a shadow on the tent from the outside due to the light coming from the fire. I at first thought it was someone needing to take a pee or something, but I had noticed that all 12 of us were in the tent. Meaning there was someone or something out there. I didn't have the balls to unzip the tent and look out, so I just laid there looking at the shadow. The shadow walked around the tent, then stopped at the right side of the tent where Ivan was sleeping. It stayed there for what felt like an eternity, but in reality was only like a minute. Then slowly, the shadow walks away as I hear the footsteps getting quieter and quieter. I had such a hard time sleeping that night. Was someone watching us? There's no way someone could have walked into the campsite in the pitch black, especially it being 15 miles away from the nearest highway. I'm 22 now, and I know that I'll never forget what happened that day. Ivan still tells me he doesn't remember a single thing from that night. I still lie here thinking about what was outside of the tent. What if I was to have had the courage and opened up the tent and looked out? I think about it, but I'm glad that whatever it was just went away.
You probably would have got.
I worked for Apple Care for over 3 years. You know the tech support number you call when you have problems with iPhones, iPads, or Macs. During my time there, I took thousands of phone calls, but there was one call that I definitely remember.
Team iPhone.
This call started off like the rest. Thank you for calling Apple Care. My name is Josh. The call came from a woman who said she was a college counselor and a former social worker. While waiting on her Mac to update, the conversation started off normal. Do you like working for Apple? Where are you based? After about 20 minutes of going back and forth, the conversation turned darker. She stated, I need to ask you something. Do you have children? I was a little alarmed from the sudden change of subject, but I figured since the woman was far away and I would never meet her in person, there could be no harm done. I have a 1-year-old daughter. She replied, I need to tell you about this place. Please never take your family there, or anyone you love. A bit shocked, I replied, okay, what place? It's called Unalaska. You mean Alaska the state? I questioned. No, Unalaska, Texas. The town is full of pedophiles. A lot are involved, ranging from parents, teachers, police, doctors, and lawyers. The people you're supposed to trust, really. I was more puzzled than creeped out, since it seemed like a plot of a horror film. Lots of children, especially girls, are tossed around as supposedly trusted employees of the town. And nothing can be done because people who fight back are either killed, they disappear, or harassed and bullied that they have to leave the town. She continued, I met lots of kids from working here at the college. They've shared very similar stories and horrific things that have happened to them, all from this town. She then shared her most recent case. The week before her phone call, a young girl had resided in the town of Unalaska and was harassed by a local man. He eventually cornered her and stated, if you ever need me, my phone number is 911, as he was the town sheriff. Of course, I was horrified to hear this and quickly wrote down the name of the town and wrote, do not go. Eventually, our call ended. The lady gave me a good review in the customer service survey, and I continued my day. Now I no longer work for Apple. However, a few years later, I got into the true horror stories on YouTube. You know, guys like Unit 522 and Corpse Husband.
Hey.
I was binging Unit 522's videos and came upon one, and it said Scary Child Stories. I listened to that video all the way through. However, when I got to the last story, my heart stopped. At exactly 38 minutes and 31 seconds, the story begins. The story is told from the perspective of a young girl who had a summer home in a town called, you guessed it, Unalaska. The girl told her perspective about being stalked and harassed by a corrupt sheriff. The sheriff would stop by her work every day and eventually grabbed her arm through an opening of a glass window and demanded that the girl say she loved him. He also told her that if she needed his number, it was 911. Hearing those words made my heart sink, as I just realized this was the story the counselor told me. The girl eventually left the town and went to college. She had gotten close to her college counselor. It eventually came out that the girl was from Unalaska, and the counselor's tone changed. The counselor didn't get too detailed with the girl, but she shared how she used to work in that town and knew about the corruption and the pedophiles. The town left a mark on both the counselor, the girl, and myself. The counselor in that story was the woman I spoke to from Apple. I never thought that story would come back after all these years. I encourage you all, please avoid that town if you can, especially if you have kids.
I don't even like to travel, so that's no problem. Man, that MacBook took forever to load up or whatever.
In July of 2018, my family and I went to my aunt and uncle's house in Maryland. They go on vacation for a weekend, and they let us stay at their house.
Swamp Dweller.
They live like 10 minutes away from Baltimore, so we usually go there for a day and go back to the house later. Everything was fine until the third night. When we got back to the house, my dad and brother went upstairs because they were tired. My mom and I went into my uncle's office to go on his computer to see what we could do the next day. We heard some strange noises. My mom just assumed they were house noises, but the noises seemed a bit heavy to be house noises. My mom went to the bathroom and I sat at the computer looking at attractions when I heard my uncle's dog growling from the living room. She only growls or barks when she sees someone she doesn't recognize, so I got a little scared. My mom came out of the bathroom, and I told her the dog is growling at something. She went to the living room to check on the dog, and everything seemed normal except for one thing. The lamp was on, but the thing about that was I remember seeing it unplugged entirely. The lamp is also in the corner behind the giant couch, and the cord has a switch on it to turn it on or off. But the switch was closer to the floor. It would take a lot of effort to plug it in and turn it on. She assumed it was me and turned it off, but I kept telling her I didn't turn it on at all. I decided to go to bed, which I kind of regret doing. I fell asleep pretty fast, but I woke up at 3 in the morning to a strange sound. I just kept hearing the squeaky mattress noise over and over again. I knew it wasn't my parents because I heard my dad snoring. I knew my brother wasn't making that noise because I heard him snoring as well. All of our bedroom doors were open, so it was pretty easy to hear, but I was the only one hearing it.
That's sexual innuendo.
I started hearing the dog growling viciously from the living room. I was covered in my sweat, and my fear was rising. I then heard footsteps coming from the attic right above my room. I was wide awake at that point, and was gonna wake up my parents, but since I was so scared, I didn't want to move. Eventually, all the noises stopped, but the dog was still viciously growling at something or even someone. She stopped growling after about 5 minutes. Everything was seemingly fine after that, but I had no interest in falling back asleep, and didn't get out of bed until I saw my brother get out of bed at sunrise. I asked him if he heard anything at all at 3 in the morning, but he said no. I also asked my parents if they heard anything, and they also said no. My mind was blown, and I thought I was going crazy. For the rest of the week, everything was fine, and that dog kept growling at something every once in a while. I kind of wish I got up out of bed to see what was squeaking, but I was also way too scared. I also wish I got up to see what the dog was growling at, but no way in hell was I going to go up into that attic. I don't know if I was just hallucinating, witnessing paranormal activity, or what, but I definitely don't know, and it definitely was not a dream.
What's with these sound effects, though? Nah, we ain't doing that.
Nightmare Files.
Nah, we ain't doing that. So you heard that mattress squeaking fast as hell. He was like, I knew it wasn't my parents because I heard my dad snoring. And I knew it wasn't my brother because he was snoring too. Hell nah. Y'all caught that sexual innuendo though? Thought somebody was getting it in. Thought somebody was getting some cheeks. It sounded like it could have been paranormal to me. It had to be paranormal. Cause obviously there wasn't a person in your house. At least not that you could see. And I don't know. It all just sounds paranormal. But if it is paranormal, man, the mattress squeaking fast like that, and that's one horny ghost. Thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. If you enjoyed the reaction, drop a like, a comment, and share the video. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel and tap that bell icon so you will get notified every time your boy Steph drop new content, which I do 7 times a week, at least for now. That is all I got for y'all this time around. Your boy Steph is out.